South Central. They were also selling it in Oakland. They were selling it in the West Coast of the United States throughout most of the 80s. And they were they were selling cocaine in South Central. They were also selling it in Oakland. They were selling it in San Francisco. They were selling it in San Jose. And some of the money they were making was going to support an army that the men who ran the cocaine ring worked for, called the FDN. This was an army that the CIA started in 1981 and supported.
Better known to us, most of us who remember this, the Contras in Nicaragua. So go right ahead.
The men that were running the cocaine ring were top officials of this Contra army. And what we found was that they were selling this stuff in South Central, which is, predominantly black section of Los Angeles, immediately before the outbreak of the crack cocaine epidemic. They started selling powder. Tons and tons and tons of powder cocaine was going into this one small area of the city. And from there, they sold it to Freeway Rick. And Freeway Rick took the powder, turned it into crack, and starting in 1983, 1984, began distributing it to predominantly the gangs, the Crips and the Bloods in Los Angeles. And they spread it to the West.
The same people who own the labels own the prisons. So, literally the same people? Literally the same people who own the labels on private prisons. The records that come out are really geared to push people towards that prison industry.
Music and destroyed a generation.
Damn.
So it says, hello. After more than 20 years, I finally decided to tell the world what I witnessed in 1991, which I believe was one of the biggest turning points in popular music and ultimately American society. I have struggled for a long time weighing the pros and cons of making my story public, as I was reluctant to implicate the individuals who were present that day. So I simply decided to leave out the names and all the details that may risk my personal well-being and that of those who were, like me, dragged into something they weren't ready for.
Damn.
Hold on, let me
So we gonna tell the story.
We gonna tell the story. We ain't scared.
You know what I'm saying? What they gonna do?
They after us, not spraying.
Look, that black van.
So look. So he says, between the late 80s and early 90s, I was what you may call a decision maker with one of the more established companies in the music industry. I came to you.
Shalom. I'd like to say all praises due unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakodash. Double honor to the apostle of great milestone, peace and blessing to the elect. My name is Kanawak from GMS Toronto doing this lesson. And it's going to be in regards to the C.I.A., the Central Intelligence Agency that the American government, the United States government, they set up, and they run all industry, and they have infiltrators into all industries, whether it's musicians, athletes, actors, entertainers. All of this is just a big psychological operation that Esau has set up, and the whole drugs, the drugs from in the 80s, the whole crack epidemic, that basically, like Gary Webb, he's an author, and he basically exposed it, and I believe he was assassinated because he exposed the secret, right? And that's why our people were strung out on drugs. A lot of the drug dealers, were making a lot of money, right? Working with these different cartels, which these cartels are working with the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA, right? And they're making a lot of money. A lot of them end up getting killed, or if they weren't killed, they got lengthy like prison sentences, man. And this is all Esau schemes. This is a big, Esau. This whole these Edomites, man, they have a lot of things to pay for, right? Because they're destroying our people. Even with the music, right? Could get you this one. Um, it says that the dollars on music is going to be brought low. Ecclesiastes 12. Ecclesiastes 12. Um, Ecclesiastes 12:4, and the door shall be shut in the street, and the grind, and this when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up with the voice of the bird, and the dollars and music shall be brought low. Right, so their jobs are being lost. There's no industry that's helping people to get jobs, and the music industry, the whole music industry is gone. It's very degenerate. Because back in the 60s, 70s, they had more happy music, even in the 80s, and then starting like the mid 80s, going into like 89, going into 90s, that's when the music kind of changed. They had like this whole rap culture, and basically the gang culture in the music, the so-called gangster rap and all that, and you had the niggas with attitude, and basically Ice Cube, he was I think one of his albums is CIA Central, so basically these musicians, right, they're nothing but CIA, yeah, and there's also CIA agents, right? That's basically so-called, like, calling themselves Hebrew Israelites, right? That there's plants, right? Like that guy Al-Azhar, the guy that he got pegged. He's getting pegged for some money or whatever he's doing. He's working with Adam 22, right? So you could so that guy is a plant, man, right? And there's many plants in Israel, right? And the Lord's he's gonna root out these plants, man. But I'm gonna get you this one.
Up in the early 80s and quickly
I'm gonna continue, so let's play this.
established myself in the business. The industry was different back then, since technology and media weren't accessible to people like they are today. The industry had more control over the public and had the means to influence them any way it wanted. Right. This may explain why in early 1991, I was invited to attend a closed-door meeting with a small group of business insiders to discuss rap music's new direction. Rap music's new direction. Yeah. Little did I know we would be asked to participate in one of the most unethical and destructive business practices ever seen. Crazy.
So this guy basically exposing, but he didn't call out people's names or company names, but he was invited, and that's what they call it, Bone Thugs and Harmony, and they're basically nothing but devil worshippers and occultists, right? And they're into some heavy witchcraft, because in order to be a musician, you have to go through rituals, a lot of rituals, right? And you have to go through the steps of masonry, to excel in your music and whatever craft that they're in, right?
This was the meeting. The meeting was held at a private residence on the outskirts of Los Angeles. I remember about 25 to 30 people were being there.
Right.
Most of them familiar faces. Speaking of those I knew, we joked about the theme of the meeting, as many of us did not care for rap and failed to see the...
Yeah, so this is pretty much what's going on, man. We'll get you this, I believe it's in Psalms 83. Psalm 83. Keep not thou silence, O Yahweh, hold not thy peace, and be not still, Yahweh. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. Right? And this is their counsel. They have taken crafty counsel. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, consult against thy hidden ones. We're the hidden ones, the elect, hope members of the elect, and they want to basically like destroy us. And they're destroying, our nation, starting from, Judah, going down to Issachar, the 12 tribes, right? And they're doing all kinds of different psyops, psychological operations to destroy our people. And that's why they have, these Edomites, man. The Lord's going to deal with them, man. All right? And it's not just the C.I.A. They had Mossad, they have CSIS, all these Edomite governments, right? These intelligence agencies, man. Right? The Lord's gonna deal with their case, man. Once our big brothers Yahweh Shai comes, and there's been a lot of sightings of these so-called UFOs, angels appearing to them. Right? So they know, that the angels are there, right, watching everything. Right? And this is a big council, man. I'm gonna play this next one too. 1 second.
CIA was using the Jamaican Labor Party as its instrument in the entire campaign against the Michael Manley government. I'd say most of the violence was coming from the Jamaica Labor Party side, and behind them was the CIA in terms of getting the weapons in and getting the money in.
Yeah, and that's what they did. Because during the early 80s, that's when they had the whole election. And there's a lot of violence during a lot of these elections during the early 80s, late 80s, and early 80s and late 70s, right? There's a lot of the C.I.A., they set up plants, and that's what they did, right? And they're doing it now, right? Because right now in Jamaica, it's election time, and the JLP, Jamaican Labor Party, they work with the Central Intelligence Agency, right? And it's all orchestrated, man. So a lot of the violence and stuff that goes on in that island, Jamaica, and in the Americas where the Jamaicans are, right? They set them up, right? They set up these musicians, these dancehall artists, to promote death and destruction to their people. They're all these guys are all plans, man. Right?
With all the propaganda guidance, because there was a steady stream, a continuous campaign of propaganda against the Manley government. The weapons, there was no problem there with getting weapons in, because the ganja smuggling was a perfect route for bringing weapons back in.
So all the drugs, that's why now you saw here in Canada, they set up all the dispensaries all over the place legally, in America too. They have all the dispensaries because everything was, all the drugs and the weapons and all that stuff it's all orchestrated, man. Esau's the one that's bringing in the drugs and guns and everything, trafficking people, right? It's all being orchestrated, man, by by the elite, by these governments, American government, and these these Edomite governments, man.
Jamaica from the United States. The CIA would look upon the radical political content of reggae music as dangerous because it would help to create a consciousness among poor people, among the great majority of Jamaicans. And of course,
Yeah, that's why they killed guys like Bob Marley, Dennis Brown, right? They gave them a lot of drugs. Like Dennis Brown, who's a very good musician. He ended up getting strung out on drugs. Until he died. Garnet, Silk, all these different these reggae like musicians. You know, um, a lot of them end up dying mysteriously. You know, and this is a wicked society, man. That we live in, and then Esau's time is running out, man. That's why Esau, your time is running out, Esau, right? And I'm gonna get you this one though. Um, Genesis 49 about goes into Benjamin. Yep, Genesis 49:27. Benjamin shall raven as a wolf. In the morning shall devour the prey, and at night shall divide the spoil. So this is what's happening. Benjamin. You know, um, you so-called West Indians, right? A lot of those products in Jamaica is it says Benjamin. A lot of the products that you get in Jamaica, like they have like a different like vanilla, and they have different things on their products that says Benjamin. So they know. And in the morning shall devour the prey, and at night shall divide the spoil. So the raven as a wolf is referring to the music, right? And they're heavy. Back in the late 70s going into 80s, right? There were you had Pizza Tosh, um, Bob Marley, the Wailers, right? And okay, I don't really see them, but basically they're referring to them, right? And that's why High Priest Arya he would go into the tribes as to who the tribes are, and as well as the apostles, Apostle Tahar, Gabar, and Apostle Ramlab, and they would go into all that, you know. So let's play this.
naturally, the climate was created for an attempt on Bob Marley's life.
Yeah, that's why Bob Marley was assassinated. They say he died of cancer, of toe cancer, because he didn't want to cut off his toe. But this is what they do, man. You know. Good movies to watch is Snowfall. That's like a good series. They have Strapped that came out in the early 90s. A very good movie, right? Because Esau's the one that's bringing the drugs, the guns, um, the trafficking of children, of people. It's all being orchestrated, man, by these devils. Let's play it 1 second. Yeah, Shalom. Let us all praise Slakia. That's pretty much it. So with that, let us all praise due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakwadash, double honor to pass of great milestone, peace and blessings to the elect. Shalom.